some resources?
No, I think that we have had to make no compromises on any other launches where we may have missed the objective is in terms of the timing of some of these things going into production. And the one that is probably the most problematic was the Durango. Just I think it showed up about 4 weeks late against the original plan, but it was totally due to ensure that we had hit the quality levels that we needed out of the body. And so I'm now looking at exactly the portfolio that we wanted for this time in our product development plan. I think from here on in, it's a completely different story. I think we needed to have an arsenal of product that would have allowed us to transition into a completely different set of architectures and powertrains, all of which will become absolutely evident in 2012 and 13.
Materials, Wisconsin, 300 and 200 are right where you want.
They're right where they want them to be. And I'll take all the criticism and all the blame for missing the target, but what you see is what I wanted.
Mr. Marchionne, Jeff Gilbert from WWJ locally. You have labor talks with the UAW coming up this year, and obviously they are looking to gain back some of the things they've lost. So if you could talk in broad terms, because I know you won't talk in specifics about how you may be able to help them with that. And also, do you think that pattern bargaining is still relevant in this era?
I'm going to avoid the last question because I think that those are fundamentally tactical issues as opposed to substantive. I think we all recognize the effort that was made by the UAW in helping this recovery. I think that we do need to find some way, in more than just the negotiations in 2011, of allowing our colleagues in the shop floor to effectively participate in the wealth creation exercise that's going on here at Chrysler and I guess in the other automotive companies. I think it needs to be contained because of the fact otherwise it's going to undo all the efforts that have gone on here in the last 2 or 3 years. But I think more importantly, and I think that it is certainly it was a big topic of discussion back with Ron Gettelfinger when I dealt with this issue back in the spring of 2008, 2009, that there needs to be flexibility in the compensation scheme that recognizes that we cannot enshrine or institutionalize numbers in the cost structure of the car makers that don't reflect a particular economic cycle. And so one of the things that has led to the poor performance, I think, of the car makers here in Detroit historically has been the fact that the fixed cost element associated with running the manufacturing site could not be adjusted as a result of a downturn in economic fortunes. And that issue cannot be something that is solely responsible, the responsibility of which cannot be just assigned to capital. I think that if there's truly an objective here in terms of sharing wealth, it needs to be done on the upside as it does on the downside. So we need to work our way through the mechanics of this. I think that the easiest thing to do is to effectively variabilize a portion of the compensation scheme that effectively reflects what is the underlying performance of the business. But it's way too early in the game to try and make that call. I think we need to allow our labor guys to sit down with theirs and try and take it on from there.
Dick Berry, WTOL TV in Toledo, Ohio. I was wondering what lies ahead in 2011 for the Toledo Jeep North Assembly Plant. Are we looking at any new lines? Are we looking at any new jobs? What's ahead for the plant?
I think we should wait until we finalize the allocation process and then announce it then. I think the Toledo plant is an integral part of our manufacturing strategy in the United States. I remain as positive about our commitment to Toledo as I've been historically. I think it's got a good future. I think we need to work our way through it. I think I hate making grandiose statements and promises here. I much prefer to show up at launches of vehicles and introduction of manufacturing lines. It's too early in the game.
I'm Tom Waite with WXYZ in Detroit. Just wondering what you were talking about with Senator Debbie Stabenow.
We're talking about you.
Hope it was good things.
That didn't take very much, so we moved on to something else. No.
Yeah, so I mean, I assume your discussions are about the future of Chrysler here in Michigan, but maybe elaborate.
Look, I mean, I think the relationship with Senator Stabenow is one that, you know, is pretty deep. She was an integral part of the political support mechanism that allowed Chrysler to survive the event of 2009 and that allowed us to be here today and effectively launch 16 new products. So I, you know, both personally and on behalf of Chrysler, I think, you know, we need to be thankful to the senator for what she has done and for her continuing support. We have a couple of, to be specific, there's a couple of things that I think we need to bring to conclusion, one of which is the Department of Energy funding, which has been now in the works for a number of months, and I think, you know, I'd love to bring it to closure, hopefully within the first quarter of 2011. And, you know, I briefed her on the fact that I think we are seriously contemplating the possibility of going public in 2011, and I think that to the extent that that happens, then the question about the repayment of the United States Treasury advances is on the table, and I think that needs to be tackled. And the way in which we bring that about with Treasury and with the Canadian government is an important issue, and I think we needed to brief her on that matter. So it's really been an update session. I promised her when I met her on the stand last year that she will be looking at a completely different parking lot of cars. And so, you know, we delivered on our threat. We do have 16 new products on the stand that were not here last year. It has been a monumental effort on the part of Chrysler to get us here. I'm thankful, and there's a number of the members of the management team that are in this room here. But I think they should be publicly recognized for the incredible effort that they carried out. I don't know of a single car company in the world that would have been able to accomplish what these guys have done. So I think they should be truly recognized for the outstanding effort that they've done.
Yeah,
I told her all this stuff in about 10 minutes. It took me longer to tell you. Actually, you occupied a part of that space. It wasn't long. Go on.